beginning of quote. My involvement with New Leaf goes back.
The institution. We cannot present this award without acknowledging everyone in the Wells Fargo.
Especially when we get to have a little fun in a venue like this. On behalf of Wells Fargo, I'd like to say thank you to the Executive Director, Joe Neeson, the New Leaf Board of Directors, and the many New Leaf supporters that are here in this room tonight. People often ask my husband Robert and I why we choose to live in San Francisco and raise our 2 children here. Some typical answers might be something visual, like when you drive over the Bay Bridge and you look into the city, how beautiful the skyline is. Or if you're outside right now and you look at the bay and you turn around and you see the Coit Tower. Some other reasons might be because of the fantastic parks or the amazing museums or the wonderful restaurants or venues and the possibility of just how great human beings really can be. On behalf of Wells Fargo, and particularly on behalf of Mario Diaz and Bob Darling, who are team members at Wells Fargo, and their commitment to New Leaf, I humbly accept this.
Such as tonight's honoree, Bob Sabai, that nomenclature change was made. It was a momentous change in the history of American culture and really in the history of the world. And it's physicians like Bob who really made that happen.
Thank you. I started medical school, I was mentally ill, and by the time I finished it, I was cured. And it's interesting that just the little politics of diagnosis was what was amazing to me. I was a small part in the original removal of the diagnosis from normal developmental step for most people. Most people, at least in America then, it was really a normal step. And I said you couldn't have ego-dystonic breast size or ego-dystonic penis size as a diagnosis, so why do you have homosexuality? The only opposition I got was Helen Singer Kaplan. Many people may remember her as a famous sex therapist. She told NALGAP, National Association of Lesbian and Gay Addiction Professionals, books around mental health and homosexuality, which I think is exciting. And I'm going to have to write the rights of couples, the rights of families. I especially want to thank some of my long-term
and cultivated public service. It's my particular honor. New Leaf has been extremely fortunate to be one of many beneficiaries of her generous.
Thank you very much. Hey. I want to thank them for their determination and their dedication to supporting our community. It's not an easy job. And
Well, they asked me to. The recipient of tonight's award is an individual who has spent more than 15 years battling a group that is frequently marginalized and outleave. As I reviewed the narrative submitted by those who nominated George for this award, there was one passage in particular that struck me. For that feat and for his many other contributions and achievements, I am very proud to present the first ever Mark Brunenberg Award for Excellence.
Thank you very much. A lot of people have been asking me why I'm here tonight. Like it's a weird thing. And I think they mean why do I get involved with an organisation like this? And so I'm going to try and answer that question briefly. And really it's because I wish there had been organisations like New Leaf when I was growing up. And I think it's hard enough to be gay or lesbian or bisexual or transgender at the best of times. But when AIDS was invented or came along, it added an extra stigma to it, and a sort of stigma of shame. And I think it's really a sad thing that there should be any shame attached to anyone's sexuality. And now, ironically and also sadly, that for straight people there's a shame attached to sex because of the whole AIDS thing. So I'm really happy that I can be here tonight to support this great organisation and to hopefully erase shame from the equation. And also, thank you. And also, I really like the fact that New Leaf has an elderly, lesbian, gay, bisexual, and transgender outreach program. I think that's really nice. You don't often hear that there's something called Finn. And this little bit, the first bit I'm going to read, is a chapter when Finn is introduced into the novel. And Tommy has had a big night on the tiles with Charlie the night before. And he comes down to the kitchen and he meets Finn. So here we go. It's called Finn. Chapter 2, Finn. Finn was carefully cutting out pictures from Hello magazine and sticking them onto a big sheet of yellow paper. So far, he had most of the Norwegian royal family, as well as various B-list TV presenters who had gathered at a top London night spot to celebrate the launch of one of their brethren's first foray into fiction. A sex thriller set, would you believe it, amidst the TV station's echoey corridors and back passages, though sadly never in the anatomical sense. You can laugh. It was a bizarre concoction of faces, sometimes happy and sometimes sad. And when you're in a sad bit, you shouldn't worry because you'll be smiling and having a drink and hugging your friends again quite soon, he said, without looking up. Morning, Finn. How was your week? I asked, picking up a glass off the draining board and heading for the fridge. God, I needed orange juice bad. Fine, thank you, Tommy. He glanced up at me and smiled. You look like you had a big night. Then he inhaled sharply, as if about to speak again, but changed his mind because his attention had now been taken up by the picture of a pretty boy band singer who'd been about to be outed by a tabloid newspaper, so then came out voluntarily. Finn sighed out his breath and was still for a minute. Do you see this boy? He used to do it with girls, and now he does it with boys. I know, I said, opening the fridge and surveying the culinary car wreck inside. That's nice for him, isn't it? Finn looked up at me, his dark eyes unblinking, a few bits of toast debris on the edge of his lip. Do you ever do it with girls? Do it with girls? I was busying myself, sniffing old cartons of milk and orange juice and moving Chinese takeaway boxes to one side. For an 8-year-old, he was really good at confrontation. Yes, Finn, he knows. Doesn't he mind? Why would he mind? I asked, feeling at once more curious and less safe at this turn of the conversation. Because you're my dad's boyfriend, and I don't think you should be doing it with girls when you're supposed to be doing it with him. I froze for a moment. Easy when you're half in the fridge, of course. And took stock of the situation. Okay, Finn is sitting at my kitchen table, chopping up my friend's hello, unread, I might add. And frankly, my idea of a fun Saturday morning does not include getting a lecture on fidelity from a minor. I went over to the table and sat across from him, pushing the curtains. It wasn't like we didn't shag other people or even have sort of mini relationships with other people. What we had were, in the anniversary party, I presume, were we really on ecstasy when we were pretending to be on ecstasy? Because we did it very well. Well, you know what, it's kind of hard making a film. And there's a lot of things you have to do, especially as a director, as well as an actor. It would have been in the film because some of them hadn't ever done it, and I hate nothing. So I kind of had a little workshop about what happens when you're on ecstasy and that you don't necessarily do this.